Some time ago, I was sitting exactly where you might be right now. I had just been fired from my job. My savings were dwindling, and that crushing feeling of what now was keeping me up at night. I scrolled through endless articles about passive income and online businesses, but it all felt like a distant, complicated dream. I felt like a complete failure. Fast forward 6 months. I'm sitting in that same room, but the feeling is completely different. On my laptop screen isn't a rejection email, but a payment notification for $12,750. That was my single biggest month, and it capped off a 6 month journey that took me from unemployed to over $100,000 in revenue. In the next 15 minutes, I'm not going to give you some vague theory or a list of 50 apps you don't need. I'm going to break down the exact, unconventional blueprint I used to build this business from scratch, with no prior experience, no audience, and very little money. This is the raw, unfiltered story of how I went from fired to financially free, and how you can use these same principles to build your own profitable online business. Before we get to the steps, we need to talk about the single biggest mistake I see beginners make, and it's one I made myself at first. They try to be everything to everyone. They chase the latest trends. They try to sell a dozen different products. They spread themselves so thin that they end up making zero impact. My breakthrough came when I stopped chasing money and started obsessing over one specific problem for one specific group of people. The shift is from how can I make money to how can I provide so much value to a specific group that they would be embarrassed not to pay me for it. This isn't just some positive thinking nonsense. This is the fundamental principle that underpins every successful online business. When you focus on serving, the selling becomes a natural byproduct. Forget making money for a moment. Your new goal is to become the go-to person for a very specific, very real need. The first step is finding your niche. But I don't mean a broad category like health or finance. I want you to think smaller. Much, much smaller. I call this finding your microneedle in a haystack. I started by asking myself three simple questions. What have I struggled with and personally overcome? What do my friends constantly ask me for help with? What topic could I talk about for hours without getting bored? For me, the answer was productivity. But productivity is a haystack. It's too broad. So I went deeper. I thought about who I was. I was a former corporate employee who struggled with managing my time while working from home. So my micro niche became time management systems for remote workers using free digital tools. See how specific that is? I wasn't targeting everyone. I was targeting remote workers. I wasn't selling expensive courses. I was focusing on free tools. This specificity is your superpower. It allows you to create hyper-targeted solutions that broad-spectrum competitors can't touch. Your homework is to find your microneedle. Get specific. The more niche you go, the less competition you have, and the more valuable your expertise becomes. Here's another secret most people get wrong. They build a product first and then try to find an audience. I did the exact opposite. I spent the first 2 months building an audience before I had anything to sell. I call this your minimum viable audience. I didn't need 100,000 followers. I needed 100 people who genuinely trusted my advice. How did I do it? I chose one platform, LinkedIn, because that's where my target audience of remote workers hung out, and I committed to providing immense value for free. Every single day for 60 days, I posted one simple, actionable tip about time management for remote workers. I shared screenshots of my own system. I created simple templates in Google Sheets and offered them for free. I answered every single comment. I wasn't selling anything. I was just giving, giving, giving. Slowly but surely, people started noticing. My connection requests went up. My posts started getting comments like, "This is exactly what I needed, and can you make a template for that?" After 2 months, I had an email list of about 300 people who were genuinely interested in what I had to say. That was my minimum viable audience. That was my gold mine. With my small but engaged audience, I paid attention. I listened to the questions they asked. I noticed a recurring theme. People were overwhelmed by all the different productivity apps and wanted a simple, all-in-one system. This was my cue. I didn't create a massive 50-hour video course. I created my irresistible first offer. It was a simple 30-page ebook called The Remote Worker's Productivity Playbook. It detailed the exact system I used to manage my time, complete with the templates I had already been sharing for free. I priced it at just $27. This was a strategic decision. It was a low-risk, no-brainer purchase for someone who already trusted my free content. I announced it to my small email list, and within 24 hours, I had made over $1,000. I'll never forget that feeling. It wasn't about the money, it was the validation. It was proof that I had created something of real value. Your first offer shouldn't be your magnum opus. It should be a simple, focused solution to the number one problem your audience has. Making your first few $1,000s is amazing, but it's not going to make you a six-figure income. The real magic happens when you create what's known as a value ladder. This is the system that took me from a side hustle to a full-blown business. The concept is simple. You offer your customers progressively more valuable and more expensive products over time. My value ladder looked like this. Step 1, $27 the ebook. This got customers in the door. Step 2, $197 a live, 3-hour group workshop called Productivity System Deep Dive. This was for the people who read the ebook and wanted more hands-on help. Step 3, $997 a one-on-one system audit and implementation package. This was my premium offer for those who wanted me to personally help them set up their entire system. Notice how each step up the ladder provided more value and solved a bigger problem? I didn't create these all at once. I created the next step only after the previous one was selling well and I understood my customers' needs even better. Most of my $100,000 plus revenue didn't come from the $27 ebook. It came from repeatedly selling higher ticket items to my happy, existing customers. This is how you scale without constantly needing to find new customers. I want to take a moment to be brutally honest with you, because the internet is filled with highlight reels. This journey was not a smooth, upward climb. There were plenty of moments I wanted to quit. There were weeks I put in 60 hours between my old job and building this business. There were times I launched something I thought was brilliant, only to hear crickets. I wasted money on Facebook ads I had no idea how to run. I had days where I was crippled by self-doubt, convinced I was an imposter who would be exposed at any moment. Building a business is hard. It requires a level of resilience and persistence that most people aren't prepared for. The difference between those who make it and those who don't is not intelligence or luck. It's the ability to keep going when you feel like giving up. It's about learning from your failures, adjusting your strategy, and showing up again the next day. If you're looking for an easy, get-rich-quick scheme, this isn't it. But if you're looking for a real, sustainable path to financial freedom, it's right here, and it's paved with persistence. You've just consumed a lot of information. It's easy to feel overwhelmed and think, I could never do all that. So I want you to forget everything else I just said for a moment, except for this one action step. This is the only thing I want you to do today. Open a notebook or a blank document. At the top, write problems I've solved. Then, list at least 3 specific problems you have successfully solved in your own life. It could be figured out how to meal prep on a budget, finally fixed my chronic back pain, or taught myself how to code a simple app. That's it. That's your first step. This list is a goldmine of potential business ideas. Each problem on that list represents a micro niche where you have genuine, hard-won expertise. You don't need an MBA or a decade of experience. You just need to be one step ahead of someone else and have the desire to help. This is where your six-figure business begins. Not with a fancy website or a business plan, but with a simple list of problems you know how to solve. So there you have it. The unfiltered story of how I went from fired to a six-figure income in 6 months by finding a micro niche, building a minimum viable audience, creating an irresistible first offer, and scaling with a value ladder. This path is not reserved for a select few. It's available to anyone willing to put in the work, serve their audience with relentless focus, and not give up when things get tough. Your story is waiting to be written. Your first step is waiting to be taken. If this video gave you that spark of possibility, please give it a thumbs up. It helps YouTube show this video to others who might need to hear it. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss my future videos on building a life of freedom. Most importantly, share in the comments what's the one problem you've solved that you're most proud of. Let's get a conversation started. I read every single one. Thanks for watching, and remember, your future is not defined by your current circumstances. It's defined by the actions you take starting right now.